Han stared at his toaster with a smile that would have worried his mother. Around him, the sounds of alien ships flying over Seoul filled the air. The 28-year-old engineer had just made an important discovery. The alien shields couldn't handle sudden electrical bursts. "You're doing it again," Ju said from across their small workshop. "You have that look that means you're about to break something expensive." She put down her tablet and walked over to his workbench. "Not breaking," Han replied, pulling apart the toaster. "Making better." His fingers moved quickly, connecting wires to a battery pack he'd taken from an old laptop. The aliens had knocked out most of the city's power, but they hadn't counted on humans being good at saving old electronics. Outside, another explosion shook their building. The Ravagers had arrived 3 days ago, their massive ships darkening the skies over every major city on Earth. They'd expected humans to give up quickly. They were wrong. Han held up his modified toaster. "Remember how their shields flickered when they hit the power station yesterday?" Ju nodded, pushing her safety glasses up her nose. "Yes, but we can't exactly throw power stations at them." "We don't need to." Han pointed to the mess of wires and parts on his bench. "Their shields are sensitive to electromagnetic pulses. And guess what makes a nice, simple EMP device? A toaster." Ju raised an eyebrow. "Any kitchen appliance, actually. The microwave will work even better." Han grabbed his backpack and started filling it with small devices he'd already modified. "We just need to overload them in the right way." The workshop door burst open. Commander Day rushed in, his uniform dusty from the constant battles. "Please tell me you have something." "They're pushing toward the city center." Han held up his modified toaster. "How many kitchen appliances can you get me in the next hour?" Day looked confused but spoke into his radio anyway. Soon, soldiers were bringing in microwaves, toasters, electric kettles, and other appliances from nearby buildings. Han and Ju worked quickly, modifying each one. "These will only work once," Han explained as he handed out the devices. "Press the button, count to 3, throw it as close to their ships as possible, then get away fast." The soldiers looked doubtful, but they took the modified appliances and headed out. Han, Ju, and Day watched from a safe position as the first team approached a Ravager ground unit. The alien ship, sleek and silver, moved forward with its shields glowing blue. A soldier threw one of Han's modified toasters. The aliens didn't even try to dodge. Why would they fear a toaster? 3 seconds later, the device released its electromagnetic pulse. The alien shield flickered and died. Before they could recover, 3 more modified appliances landed near them. The combined pulses not only killed their shields but also fried their ship's controls. For the first time since the invasion began, a Ravager unit was forced to retreat. It worked. Ju jumped up and down, hugging Han. "I can't believe kitchen appliances just defeated alien technology." Commander Data was already on his radio. "Get me every broken electronic device you can find. And contact other resistance cells. We need to share this discovery." As they watched more successful attacks using their modified devices, Han thought about all the items in an average home that could be turned into weapons. The aliens thought they were facing a simple, primitive species. Instead, they were fighting humans who could turn their own toasters into tools of war. "You know what's really going to confuse them," Han said, already working on a new modification. "Wait until they see what I can do with a vacuum cleaner." Ju groaned, but she was already reaching for her tools. "Just try not to blow up the workshop this time." Above them, the alien ships continued to patrol, unaware that their greatest challenge wasn't Earth's military might, but rather the human ability to turn anything, absolutely anything, into a weapon. The real fight was just beginning, and humanity's kitchen appliances were leading the charge. Eon sat in her observation pod, recording everything she saw. As the Ravager's chief anthropologist, she had studied many species, but humans were different. Very different. Subject continues to modify common objects into weapons. She spoke into her recorder. Today's observation includes, she paused, checking her notes, a tennis ball launcher that fires acid-filled spheres, and office staplers converted into short-range projectile devices. Below her cloaked pod, she watched a group of humans led by Han and Ju. They were in what humans call a sporting goods store, gathering materials. After the kitchen appliance incident last week, the Ravager High Command had ordered her to study these strange creatures. "Hey, Han," Ju called out, holding up a baseball bat. "Remember that idea we had about sonic weapons?" Han took the bat, testing its weight. "The aluminum ones will work better. Grab all of them." He turned to the other resistance members. "Take the golf clubs too, and all the tennis balls you can find." Elin zoomed in her observation lens. The humans were smiling. They were actually enjoying this process of turning simple items into weapons. She had never seen anything like it. Back at their workshop, Han and his team got to work. They had stripped the motors from dozens of vacuum cleaners and were using them to power their new weapons. Unwatched in fascination as they turned baseball bats into sonic pulse emitters that could scramble Ravager communication systems. Additional note, she recorded. Humans show remarkable ability to combine unrelated objects into effective weapons. Current project appears to be using sports equipment, cleaning device motors, and what appears to be, is that a musical amplifier? Her question was answered moments later when Han tested the modified bat. The sonic pulse it produced was so powerful that even through her pod's shielding, Un felt her antennae vibrate uncomfortably. "Success," Ju shouted, high-fiving Han. "The frequency is perfect for disrupting their shield harmonics." Commander Day entered the workshop, carrying a box of office supplies. "How are we doing with the stapler grenades?" "Even better than expected," Han replied, picking up a modified stapler. "We found out that if we combine the springs with paper clips and rubber bands, we can make them pierce Ravager armor at close range." Yun quickly added to her notes, "Warning. Humans appear to view every object as a potential weapon. Previous assessment of their technological level may have been severely underestimated." She watched as the humans turned tennis ball machines into rapid-fire acid launchers, golf clubs into electromagnetic pulse generators, and batting helmets into communication devices. Every single item seemed to have a deadly potential in human hands. "High Command," she transmitted, "I strongly recommend reassessing our invasion strategy. These humans, they don't think like other species. They see weapons everywhere. One of them just turned a pencil sharpener into what they're calling the micro-shrapnel dispersal unit." The response from High Command was quick. "Surely they can't turn everything into a weapon." Just then, Yun watched as Han held up what appeared to be a child's toy, a simple spinning top. "Watch this," he said to his team. He activated it, and the top began to spin, generating an energy field that could scramble Ravager targeting systems. "Correction," Yum transmitted, her antennae twitching nervously. "They can and will turn everything into a weapon. Everything." As she prepared to end her observation for the day, she heard Han say something that made her freeze. "Hey Ju, what do you think we could do with all these rubber ducks in the storage room?" Ju's eyes lit up. "You thinking what I'm thinking. Floating explosive decoys." "Exactly." Dunn quickly added one final note to her report. "Most concerning observation. Humans appear to be enjoying this process. They view our superior technology not as an insurmountable obstacle, but as an exciting challenge. This may be the most dangerous species we have ever encountered." She looked down one last time at the workshop, where Han was already taking apart a rubber duck with a screwdriver, and felt a shiver run through her body. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were innovating, adapting, and worst of all, having fun doing it. Deep beneath the streets of Seoul, Han and Ju had created something amazing. Their underground workshop was now 3 times bigger than when they started. Old subway tunnels, forgotten basement spaces, and abandoned storage rooms had been connected to make a huge science lab. "Pass me that violin," Han said, not looking up from his workbench. Around him, 20 other engineers worked on different projects. The room was filled with musical instruments of all kinds. Ju handed him the violin, then went back to adjusting what used to be a cello. "Are you sure this will work? The aliens might have changed their shield frequencies after our last attack. That's why we're using a full orchestra worth of instruments," Han replied. He pointed to the different sections of their workshop. Each type of instrument hits different frequencies. Together, they'll create a sound wave that no shield can block. In another corner, a team was working on turning drums into sonic pulse generators. The deep bass drums were perfect for creating waves that could shake apart alien armor. Even the small flutes were being modified to emit high-pitched sounds that could scramble alien communications. Commander Dad walked in, followed by a group of musicians. "I brought the experts you asked for," he said. "They've agreed to help tune the weapons." A woman carrying a conductor's baton stepped forward. "I'm Sun. My orchestra used to play in Seoul's main concert hall. Now we'll play a different kind of music." Han smiled. "Perfect. We need your help to make sure all these modified instruments work together. Think of it as tuning the world's deadliest orchestra." The musicians spread out, working with the engineers. They understood sound in ways the engineers didn't. Together, they could make weapons that were both powerful and precise. "Look at this," Ju called out. She had connected her modified cello to a power source. "When we play this note," she drew the bow across the strings. "It creates a wave that matches the alien shield frequency perfectly." The sound made everyone's teeth vibrate, but Han's smile grew bigger. Now imagine 30 instruments playing different frequencies at once. Their shields won't stand a chance. As they worked, more people joined their underground lab. Some brought food and supplies. Others brought more instruments. Word had spread through the resistance about the music weapons, and everyone wanted to help. Han, a young engineer, ran up, holding what looked like a trumpet connected to a car battery. "We found something interesting. If we play through these modified brass instruments, we can actually see the alien ship's cloaking fields." This was big news. The aliens had started using cloaking technology after the kitchen appliance attacks. But now, humans had found another way to fight back. Sun organized the modified instruments into sections, just like a real orchestra. "The strings will target their shields," she explained. "Brass will reveal their cloaked ships. Woodwinds will disrupt their communications, and percussion will shake their armor apart." Han watched as the underground space turned into something between a concert hall and a weapons factory. "We'll need to test it all together," he said. "But not here. The sound might bring down the whole tunnel." "I know a place," Commander Day said. "There's an open area near one of their landing zones. We've spotted at least 3 of their ships using it regularly." Ju looked at all the modified instruments, now ready for battle. "We should call it something," she said. "Every good weapon needs a name." "How about the Symphony of Destruction?" Han suggested. Everyone laughed, but they also nodded. It was a perfect name for what they had created. Beautiful instruments turned into powerful weapons. As they prepared to move their musical weapons to the test site, Han looked around at what they had built. In just a few weeks, they had gone from kitchen appliances to an orchestra of alien fighting instruments. He wondered what the aliens would think when they realized that humans could turn even music into a weapon. "Ready for our first concert?" Ju asked, picking up her weaponized cello. Han nodded. "Let's show the aliens what Earth music really sounds like." Yoon paced in his laboratory aboard the Ravager command ship. As the lead scientist studying human warfare, he had just made a terrifying discovery. His 3 pairs of hands shook as he recorded his findings. "Emergency report to High Command. Humans have found a way to modify their diseases to target our biology." He spoke into his recording device. "They aren't just using weapons anymore. They're using their own illnesses as weapons." He looked at the samples under his microscope. The humans had taken one of their common cold viruses and changed it. Now it could attach to Ravager cells. It wouldn't kill them, but it would make them very sick. Another scientist, Gil, entered the lab. Yoon, you need to see this. The humans used their musical weapon attack again. 3 more ships lost their shields. Yoon's antennae drooped. Add it to the list. In just 2 months, they've turned kitchen devices, sports equipment, and now music into weapons. Did you finish studying the rubber duck explosives? Yes, Jill said, holding up a damaged duck. They're filling them with a chemical that eats through our hull metal. The ducks float in water until our ships get close. Then, he made a small explosion sound. Yoon added this to his report. The humans were getting more creative every day. At first, the Ravagers had laughed at Earth's primitive technology. Now they feared every human object they saw. Watch this recording, Jill said, turning on a video screen. It showed a human resistance attack from yesterday. The humans had used their modified musical instruments first. The sound waves revealed all the hidden Ravager ships. Then they attacked with their new virus weapons. Remarkable, Yoon said, but his voice was filled with worry. They're learning our weaknesses faster than we can adapt. Did you see what they did with the office supplies last week? Gil's color changed to a pale blue, showing his fear. Don't remind me. I still can't believe they turned paperclips and rubber bands into armor-piercing weapons. Yoon walked to his window, looking down at Earth. We thought they would be easy to defeat because their technology isn't as advanced as ours. But that's exactly why they're so dangerous. They learned to make weapons from anything because they had to. His computer beeped with new data. More human attacks had been reported. This time, they had used modified children's toys. Simple remote control cars now carried tiny bombs. Toy drones had been turned into spy devices. Listen to this, Yoon said, playing a recording. It was the sound of the humans' musical weapons. They turned their art into a weapon. Who does that? What kind of species looks at a violin and thinks, yes, I can use this to destroy alien shields? Jill checked more reports on his tablet. It's not just the weapons. They're using their viruses to attack our computer systems too. They call it biological hacking. They're combining their biological weapons with digital attacks. Yoon started writing his final recommendation to High Command. We must reconsider this invasion. The humans are too unpredictable. Today they're using music and viruses. What will they think of tomorrow? Just then, an alarm sounded. On their screens, they watched as humans attacked another Ravager base. This time, they had somehow turned their own blood into a weapon. They had found out that human blood could short-circuit Ravager technology. Add this to the report, Yoon said, his voice tired. Humans have now weaponized their own bodies. I repeat my recommendation. We must stop this invasion before they show us what else they can turn into weapons. Gil looked at the latest battle footage. Do you think they'll ever run out of ideas? Yoon shook his head. That's what makes them so dangerous. To them, everything is a potential weapon. Everything. And they're enjoying proving it to us. As if to prove his point, another alarm sounded. The humans had just discovered something new about Ravager biology, something that made both scientists very, very worried. New report coming in, Jill said. They found a way to turn their planet's bacteria into weapons too. Yoon's antennae drooped even lower. Send an urgent message to High Command. The humans aren't just fighting back. They're turning their whole planet into a weapon against us. Commander Day couldn't believe what he was seeing in the microscope. He had been watching Han and Ju work with common Earth bacteria for days, but this was different. This was going to change everything. Look at this, he called to Han and Ju. The bacteria aren't just growing on the alien armor sample. They're eating it. Han rushed over, almost knocking over his chair. Through the microscope, they could see tiny bacteria breaking down the tough alien bioarmor. It was like watching thousands of tiny mouths eat through metal. It's the yogurt bacteria, Ju said, checking her notes. We modified them using the same technique we used for the cold virus. But these are doing something completely different. Commander Dai stood up straight, his mind racing with possibilities. How fast can you make more of these bacteria? That's the best part, Han said, pointing to several large tanks in the corner of their lab. These bacteria multiply really quickly, and they only eat the specific material used in Ravager armor and ships. They won't harm anything else. Ju was already working on a delivery system. She had modified some garden sprayers to spray the bacterial solution. We can load these into drones, she said, or even better, we can use their own ventilation systems against them. The underground lab was buzzing with activity. Word of the discovery spread quickly, and soon other resistance cells were sending requests for the bacterial weapon. But they had to be careful. One wrong move could alert the aliens to their new weapon before it was ready. We need to test it first, Commander Day said. Something small, but important enough to show us if it really works in the field. Han looked at the map on their wall. It showed all known Ravager positions around Seoul. Here, he pointed to a small supply depot. They store their armor and weapons there. If we can destroy those, they'll have to fight without protection. The plan came together quickly. That night, a small team approached the alien depot. They carried modified garden sprayers filled with the bacterial solution. The aliens had strong shields against energy weapons and explosives, but they had no defense against microscopic bacteria. Remember, Ju told the team through their radio, spray it on their ventilation units. The bacteria will do the rest. The attack was silent. No explosions, no musical weapons, not even any fighting. The team simply sprayed the bacterial solution and left. By morning, they had their answer. The Ravager supply depot was falling apart. Their bio-armor was dissolving. The aliens were in chaos, trying to understand what was happening to their supposedly indestructible equipment. It worked better than we expected, Han said, watching through binoculars. The bacteria are spreading through their whole ventilation system. Every piece of armor in that depot will be useless within hours. Commander Day immediately sent messages to other resistance groups around the world. Soon, everyone would have this new weapon. The Ravagers would never feel safe in their armor again. But the aliens weren't done yet. As they watched, emergency teams in protective suits arrived at the depot. They were trying to save what they could and understand what had happened. They'll figure it out eventually, Ju said. But by then, we'll have spread these bacteria to every Ravager base on Earth. Han was already working on improvements. We can make different strains of bacteria, he said. Some that eat their armor, others that destroy their ship hulls, maybe even some that can affect their fuel systems. Commander Da looked at his team with pride. They had turned Earth's smallest life forms into their biggest weapons. The aliens had come expecting to fight against tanks and missiles. Instead, they were being defeated by bacteria so small they couldn't even see them. Send word to all resistance cells, he ordered. Operation Microscopic Thunder is now active. Let's show the Ravagers that even the smallest things on Earth can become their biggest nightmare. As they watched the aliens scramble to save their dissolving equipment, Han smiled. You know what's really going to confuse them? He asked. Trying to figure out how we turned yogurt bacteria into a weapon. Ju laughed. Just wait until they find out what we're doing with Sort of Starter. Eon's research center aboard the Ravager command ship was filled with human objects. Each item had a warning label on it. Even something as simple as a pencil was marked as potentially dangerous. The alien anthropologist had never seen her fellow Ravagers so scared of everyday things. Another report from the ground teams, her assistant said, bringing in a tablet. They found human children playing with something called slime. 3 ships retreated from the area immediately. Eon understood their fear. Last week, humans had turned ordinary cleaning slime into a substance that could disable Ravager equipment. Now, no one knew what was safe and what was a weapon. Show me the latest surveillance footage, she said. The screens lit up with images from Earth. In one video, a Ravager patrol was avoiding a group of humans having a picnic. The aliens were terrified of the plastic spoons and paper plates. This is what makes humans different, Eon explained to her research team. They don't just make weapons. They turn normal things into weapons, and they're very good at it. On another screen, they watched Han and his team setting up what looked like a normal restaurant. But Un knew better. The coffee machines were modified to spray the armor-eating bacteria. The dinner plates could release sonic pulses. Even the chopsticks were dangerous. They had turned them into mini harpoons that could pierce Ravager armor. "Look at this data," she said, pulling up her research charts. "In just 3 months, humans have weaponized kitchen items, music, diseases, bacteria, office supplies, toys, and even their own blood. No species has ever done this before." Her team watched as more reports came in. A Ravager ship had refused to land because they saw humans playing with soap bubbles. After the rubber duck incident, no one trusted anything that looked harmless anymore. "The psychological impact is severe," Yun continued. "Our soldiers are now afraid of everything on Earth. They see weapons everywhere because humans can make weapons from everywhere." Just then, Yoon rushed into the research center. The scientist looked worried. "You need to see this," he said, connecting his device to the main screen. "The humans are now using their planet's weather as a weapon." The video showed humans releasing their modified bacteria into rain clouds. When it rained, the bacteria spread over huge areas, eating through Ravager equipment. They had turned Earth's own rain into a weapon delivery system. "Their creativity is extraordinary," Yun said, adding to her reports. "They don't just adapt to problems. They turn the problems themselves into solutions." Outside her research center, she could hear Ravager soldiers arguing about a new order. They had been told to investigate a human school, but no one wanted to go. They had learned that human schools were full of science labs, art supplies, and sports equipment, all things that humans had proven they could turn into weapons. "Show them the cafeteria footage," Yoon said quietly. Eun played the video. It showed how humans had turned an entire school cafeteria into a weapons factory. The ovens were now making armor-melting compounds. The freezers were producing ice projectiles that could crack Ravager visors. Even the lunch trays had been turned into shields that could reflect Ravager energy weapons. "This is why we're losing," she told her team. "We came to Earth thinking we were the superior species. But humans have shown us something we never expected. They have turned their whole civilization into a defense system." As if to prove her point, an alarm sounded. The humans had found a new way to use their musical weapons. They were now playing their weaponized songs through the city's public radio system, affecting Ravager ships across the entire area. "Add this to the final report," Yun said, her antennae drooping with worry. "Humans don't just create weapons. They turn their entire world into a weapon. And they're teaching us a lesson we won't soon forget." Han stared at the mountains of plastic waste in front of him. Old bottles, broken toys, food containers, garbage that nobody wanted. But he saw something different. He saw their greatest weapon yet. "Are you sure about this?" Chu asked, watching as their team sorted through the trash. "We've done some crazy things, but turning garbage into a weapon." "Think about it," Han said, picking up an old plastic bottle. "What's the biggest problem on Earth besides the aliens? All this plastic waste. So let's solve both problems at once." Their underground lab had grown again. Now it had a new section filled with recycling machines. But these weren't normal recycling machines. Han and his team had modified them to break down plastic in a very special way. "Look here," he said, showing Ju a microscope slide. "We're breaking the plastic down into tiny pieces. Really, really tiny pieces, smaller than bacteria." Ju looked through the microscope. The plastic had been turned into microscopic robots, nano-machines that could take apart anything they touched, piece by piece. "We're programming them to target Ravager technology," Han explained. "Just like our bacteria eat their armor, these nano-machines will eat their ships. But much, much faster." Commander Day arrived just as they were testing the first batch. They put a piece of Ravager equipment in a sealed container and added their plastic nano-machines. In seconds, the alien technology began to fall apart. How much plastic do we need? Dai asked, already planning their next attack. That's the best part, Ju said, pointing to their recycling machines. Earth has millions of tons of plastic waste. We have an endless supply of weapon material. The news spread quickly through the resistance. Soon, trucks were bringing plastic waste from all over the country. Everything from old fishing nets to broken computers was turned into their new weapon. We're calling it Operation Cleanup, Han told his team. The nano-machines will destroy Ravager technology and then break down into harmless dust. We're not just fighting aliens, we're cleaning up the planet. They tested their weapon on a small Ravager patrol first. The aliens didn't even notice when the cloud of nano-machines hit their ships. But within minutes, their technology started failing. Weapons fell apart. Communications died. Ships began to crumble. Send the footage to all resistance cells, Commander Day ordered. Tell them to start collecting plastic waste. Every piece of trash is now a weapon. The Ravagers couldn't understand what was happening. Their mighty ships were being destroyed by recycled soda bottles and old toys. Every piece of plastic on Earth could be turned into a weapon against them. You know what's really clever? Ju said, watching another successful test. The nano-machines only attack their technology. They won't harm Earth or its creatures. We're actually making the planet cleaner. Han nodded, already working on improvements. And the aliens can't stop it. The nano-machines are too small to see, too numerous to count, and we can make more from every piece of plastic we find. The final test came when they attacked the main Ravager base. They released clouds of their nano-machines into the air. Within hours, the mighty alien fortress began to crumble. Ships fell from the sky, their hulls dissolving. Weapons turned to dust in alien hands. Message from other resistance cells. Commander Day announced, similar attacks are succeeding worldwide. The Ravagers are losing their technology everywhere. Han watched as years of plastic pollution became Earth's strongest defense. Maybe this is why humans are different, he said. We don't just solve problems. We turn our problems into solutions. Ju smiled as another alien ship crumbled to dust. I wonder what they'll think when they realize we defeated their advanced technology with our garbage. They'll learn what we've always known, Commander Day said. On Earth, anything can become a weapon. Even our trash can save the world. The Ravager High Command room was silent. On the massive screen before them, Yoon showed video after video of their forces being defeated by human weapons. The plastic nano-machines had been the final blow. Now most of their fleet was destroyed or damaged. We must end this war, Yoon said, his voice firm. The humans have proven something extraordinary. They don't just fight wars. They rewrite the rules of warfare itself. The High Commander, a tall Ravager with battle scars on all three of his arms, leaned forward. Show me the summary again. What have they turned into weapons so far? Yoon displayed his list on the screen. Kitchen appliances that disable our shields. Musical instruments that reveal our cloaked ships. Sports equipment that launches acid attacks. Office supplies that pierce our armor. Modified bacteria that eat our technology. Diseases that target our biology. Weather systems that spread their weapons. And now, they're garbage that destroys our ships. But that's not the worst part, Yeon added, stepping forward with her research. They're still inventing new weapons. Every time we adapt, they create something new. They're not just fighting us. They're getting better at it. On Earth, Han and his team were surprised when the Ravager ships suddenly displayed white flags, a human symbol of peace they had clearly learned about. A message broadcast in all human languages. We request peace talks. Commander Da gathered with world leaders to discuss the offer. Han and Ju were invited as technical advisors, since their weapons had helped turn the tide of war. They want to meet in a neutral location, Da told them. No weapons allowed. Han couldn't help but smile. Do they realize that humans can turn anything into a weapon? Even the meeting room itself could become dangerous. That's exactly why they want peace, Ju said, reading the alien message. They're starting to understand us, and it scares them. The peace talks were set up in an empty warehouse. The Ravager representatives, including Yoon and Yun, sat across from the human delegation. Everyone noticed how the aliens kept looking nervously at every object in the room. Before we begin, Yoon said, "We need your assurance that nothing in this room has been weaponized." Commander Dai smiled. "Everything in this room could be weaponized. That's what humans do. But we choose not to, because we want peace too." Iln shared her research with both sides. Humans have shown us something we never expected. Their greatest strength isn't their technology. It's their creativity. They can turn anything into a weapon, but they can also turn anything into a tool for peace. A high commander spoke through a translator. "We came to Earth thinking we were superior. Instead, you taught us that true power isn't about having the strongest weapons. It's about being able to create solutions from anything." Han looked at the aliens and saw something new in their eyes: respect. They weren't looking at humans as primitive beings anymore. They were looking at them as equals, maybe even as superiors in some ways. "We offer peace," the High Commander said. "And we offer an exchange. We will share our advanced technology with humans. In return, we ask you to teach us how you think, how you see the potential in everything." Ju laughed softly. "You want us to teach you how to turn everyday objects into weapons." "No," Yun corrected. "We want to learn how you turn problems into solutions, how you see possibilities where others see nothing." As the peace talks continued, Han noticed something interesting. The aliens weren't just afraid of human weapons anymore. They were curious about human creativity. They wanted to understand how a species could be so resourceful, so adaptable. "Maybe this was the real victory," he whispered to Ju. "We didn't just defend Earth. We showed them a completely new way of thinking." Commander Day signed the first draft of the peace treaty. As he did, he smiled at the pen in his hand, just a simple pen. But in human hands, it could be either a weapon or a tool for peace. Today, they chose peace. 1 year after the peace treaty, Earth had changed. Alien ships now landed peacefully in special ports around the world. Ravager scientists worked side by side with human engineers, and Yun's final report had become the most read document in the galaxy. "Read it again," a young Ravager student asked Yun during her lecture at the new Human Ravager University in Seoul. She smiled and picked up her tablet. "Never underestimate a species that can turn a rubber band and paperclip into a lethal weapon," she read. "But more importantly, never underestimate a species that can turn that same creativity toward peace." Han and Ju had become teachers at the university. Their workshop, once filled with weapons, now hosted students from 100 different alien worlds. They all came to learn the same thing: how humans could see possibilities in everything. Today's lesson is about creative problem solving. Han told his mixed class of humans and aliens. He held up a simple pencil. "Who can tell me 5 ways this could be used as a tool?" And yes, we mean peaceful tools now. The aliens were quick to learn. They had seen how humans could turn anything into a weapon, but now they watched in amazement as humans turned everything into tools for building, creating, and helping. The same thinking that helped us defend Earth, Ju explained to her students, now helps us solve the galaxy's biggest problems. Remember the plastic nanomachines? We're using them to clean up pollution on 50 different worlds. Commander Dai, now Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council, often used their story to help other species understand humans better. "Yes, we can turn anything into a weapon," he would say, "but we'd rather turn things into solutions." The musical weapons had been transformed too. The modified instruments now played healing frequencies, helping both humans and aliens recover from injuries. The bacterial technology that once ate through alien armor now helped clean up toxic waste. "That's what makes humans special," Yoon told his fellow scientists. "They don't just see things as they are. They see things as they could be." In the university cafeteria, Alien students watched in amazement as their human classmates fixed broken equipment with whatever they had on hand. A loose screw. Use a coin. No wrench. Make one from old pipes. The creativity that had won the war now built bridges between species. Your report changed everything, Han told Yun during a break between classes. It made the galaxy understand us better. Elon nodded, looking at her students practicing human-style problem-solving. I wrote about how humans could turn anything into a weapon, but I should have written about how humans can turn anything into anything they need. The rubber ducks that once carried explosives now carried messages of peace between worlds. The sonic technology that revealed cloaked ships now helped find people trapped in natural disasters. Every weapon they had created found a new purpose in peacetime. We're getting reports from all over the galaxy, Ju said, checking her computer. Worlds that used to fear us now want to learn from us. They don't want our weapons. They want our way of thinking. Even the High Commander had changed his view. He now visited Earth regularly, not to inspect defenses, but to learn how humans could be so adaptable. Your species turns problems into solutions, he often said. That's more valuable than any weapon. As Han watched his students leave for the day, each carrying notebooks full of human innovation techniques, he smiled. You know what's funny? He said to Ju. We shock them by turning anything into a weapon, but we amaze them by turning weapons into tools for peace. That's the real lesson, Ju replied. It's not about what things are, it's about what they could become. And now, the whole galaxy is learning to think like that. The final line of Yun's report, now carved above the university entrance, summed it up perfectly. Humans didn't just show us new ways to fight. They showed us new ways to think. And that changed everything.